The humidity at the Sepang International Circuit doesn't just stick to your skin, it weights the very air inside the lungs of every engineer in the pit lane. But today, the heavy atmosphere isn't coming from the Malaysian weather. It's coming from the sound. A sound that shouldn't exist in the Yamaha garage. A deep, guttural V4 roar that has effectively silenced the traditional scream of the Japanese inline fours. Inside the HRC garage, Takaaki Nakagami pulls off his helmet, his face a mask of disbelief. He's just spent the morning wrestling with a radical wingless 850cc prototype, Honda's desperate prayer for the 2027 regulations. But as he stood at the edge of turn 1, he didn't see a rider. He saw a glitch in the matrix. He saw Toprak Razgatlioglu doing things to a MotoGP bike that the data says are impossible. And in that moment, the veteran realized that the hierarchy of the sport didn't just shift, it shattered. The ghost of Sepang. Private tests are the shadows of the MotoGP world. There are no grandstands full of fans, no television cameras, and no PR handlers to polish the truth. It is just man, machine, and the stopwatch. For Takaaki Nakagami, this December session was supposed to be a clinical, quiet evaluation of the future. Tasked with the Project 2027 Mule, Nakagami's mission was to help Honda find a baseline for the 850cc era. A bike running on Pirelli tires, stripped of its aerodynamic wings and ride height gadgets. But the silence of the private test was broken by something far more aggressive than a prototype engine. Across the paddock, Yamaha had finally unleashed their secret weapon, the V4, and sitting on top of it was the man the paddock calls the alien. Toprak Razgatlioglu wasn't there to test, he was there to hunt. As Nakagami watched from the service road, he saw the blue machine approach the 330 km/h braking zone of turn 1. What happened next forced the veteran to pull over. Breaking the laws of physics. In the world of MotoGP, there is a right way to ride. You brake in a straight line, you transition smoothly, and you maintain a delicate balance of grip. Toprak Razgatlioglu has apparently never read that rulebook. On the new Yamaha V4, Toprak isn't just braking, he is weaponizing physics. Insiders at the track reported seeing the rear wheel of the Yamaha hovering 6 inches off the asphalt while the bike was still traveling at speeds that would make a seasoned pilot flinch. This isn't just stunt riding. It's a revolutionary approach to corner entry that Yamaha's previous inline-4 chassis could never support. The V4 configuration, with its more compact mass and different gyroscopic effects, has given Toprak the platform to bring his World SBK stop-and-go violence to the premier class. As Nakagami observed the Turkish rider's lines, he realized Toprak was finding grip where there should be none, turning the bike on a pivot point that defied every simulation Honda had ever run. The view from the other side. The tension inside the Honda garage was palpable. While Nakagami is a rider of the old school, smooth, technical, and precise, the data coming off the track suggested that the future belongs to the chaotic. Honda's 2027 prototype is a masterpiece of engineering, a lean and wingless machine designed to put the control back into the rider's hands. But watching Toprak, the HRC engineers began to face a terrifying question. Have they built a bike for a type of rider that no longer exists? The contrast was jarring. Nakagami was testing a bike designed for the 2027 reset, a machine meant to be manageable and efficient. Meanwhile, Yamaha appeared to be building a monster specifically tailored to the most aggressive braker on the planet. Paddock whispers suggest that the HRC technical directors weren't just taking notes on their own bike, they were staring at the Yamaha telemetry with a look of genuine concern. They weren't just watching a rival, they were watching a paradigm shift. The telemetry bomb. By midday, the rumors began to circulate through the restricted areas of the paddock. Someone had seen the screens. Toprak's braking markers weren't just deep, they were offensive. According to those close to the Yamaha camp, Toprak was consistently initiating his braking phase 15 to 20 meters later than the established MotoGP benchmarks. On a track like Sepang, where the heat makes the track greasy and unpredictable, that level of commitment is usually rewarded with a trip to the gravel trap. But Toprak wasn't crashing. He was hitting his apexes with surgical precision. When Nakagami returned to the pits, his feedback wasn't about the 850cc engine's power delivery or the Pirelli tire carcass. It was about the stoppy style he had witnessed. He reportedly told his crew chief that he had never seen a rider maintain that much front-end feel while the rear of the bike was completely unweighted. It was a realization that the safe development path Honda had been following might already be obsolete before it even reaches the grid. The 2027 gamble. As the afternoon sun beat down, the test took a strange turn. A sudden, violent tropical downpour, a Sepang specialty, forced both teams back into their garages, but the work didn't stop. In the HRC box, the focus shifted to how the 850cc prototype handled the low-grip transition. Without the massive downforce of modern aero wings, the Honda looked twitchy, like a nervous thoroughbred. This is the gamble. Honda is betting that by 2027 the sport will return to a more pure form of racing. But Yamaha, led by the aggressive vision of their new V4 project, seems to be betting that the riders will simply get more extreme. The Blue Revolution isn't just about a change in engine configuration, it's about a change in philosophy. While Honda tries to fix the bike, Yamaha has decided to let Toprak break the rules. And as the rain cleared, the sight of Toprak heading back out onto a damp track, while others hesitated, sent a chilling message to the rest of the pit lane. The new hierarchy. The fallout from the Sepang private test will be felt for months. This wasn't just a session to shake down parts, it was the first real-world look at the post-Ducati era. For years, the red bikes from Borgo Panigale have dictated the terms of engagement, but at Sepang the narrative changed. Toprak's times weren't just competitive, they were a warning shot that resonated all the way back to Italy. Nakagami's honest admission to the Japanese press, that he was shocked by what he saw, is a rare moment of transparency in a sport defined by secrets. It signals a shift in the psychological weight of the paddock. Honda may have the legacy and they may have the technical might of HRC, but Yamaha now has the alien and a V4 engine that seems to share his heartbeat. The hierarchy is no longer about who has the most wings, it's about who is brave enough to ride the chaos. The final warnings. As the sun set over the Sepang circuit, the bikes were wheeled into their crates for the journey back to Europe and Japan. The mechanics worked in a silence that felt heavier than the morning mist. The data had been gathered, the laps had been logged, but the atmosphere had been permanently altered. The Blue Revolution was no longer a theory discussed in magazines, it was a visible, breathing threat. The final image of the test wasn't a lap time on a screen or a new carbon fiber part. It was the long, black streaks of rubber leading into the final hairpins, the signature of a rider who refuses to accept the limits of a motorcycle. Takaaki Nakagami left Malaysia with a mountain of data for the 2027 project, but he also left with a haunting realization. The 2025 season hasn't even begun, but the war for the future has already been won and lost in the shadows of a private test. And right now, the world is bleeding blue.